You are listening to the only show where a former police officer, alongside a current law school student, tackle politics, the legal system, and corruption. The show, known around the world as Qualified Immunity.
Turn the Wi-Fi off. On your phone. You're frozen. And welcome. And welcome to Qualified Immunity. How are you?
I'm good.
It's been a minute.
Good.
We've been busy.
Yeah.
We've all been busy.
Really busy.
Really busy. So we're recording this on a Sunday, and the reason that matters, generally speaking, that doesn't matter, but the reason that matters this time is what we're going to talk about is currently in progress. There were multiple police officers shot in Austin, in a suburb of Austin. The suspect is currently barricaded in his home, and we don't know the rhyme or reason. We don't know anything yet, basically, is what this boils down to. However, I'm going to take this moment in time to say, don't shoot people. Like, I don't know why that needs to be said, but there, like, the problem we have totally become into this moment of time to where everybody wants to solve a problem and everybody sees there's a problem and everybody thinks there's a problem, unless your name's Steven Crowder, and then he just thinks George Floyd should have been murdered for no reason. And I will go on his show and he can come on this show and I don't care.
Is that really his position?
One of the last videos I saw that he did, it was basically, well, if they would have released the whole body cam footage to begin with, then there wouldn't have been riots. And I'm like, what?
I'm so glad I don't watch his stuff.
Dude,
I always thought he was annoying, and after a while I was just like,
he's that kid that's just like, oh yeah, well, I'm not touching you. That's Steven Crowder.
Yeah, pretty much.
Until I meet him in person and he proves to me otherwise, it's Steven Crowder. With that being said, however, here's the thing. I think society as a whole, and especially the millennial and Gen Z generation, understand that we have issues that we have to fix. I don't think it's in doubt that we have issues. So, like, that's one of those, I don't think it's ever been in doubt that we have issues that we need to fix. The problem becomes there are some people who want to fix it one way and some people that want to fix it another way, and we can have that discourse of ideas all day long. That does not justify or make allowable violent actions against other human beings, in my opinion.
Yeah.
In my opinion. So I just, it's one of those moments of time of like, it hurts my soul that we're to this point to where the job, people are looking at the job, at the system like the job, and the job is like the system. They're two separate entities. They're totally two separate entities. And there's nothing that anybody should ever construe that is said on this show to justify violence. Because violence is the one thing, and anybody that doesn't know me, Lucas will validate this statement. Violence is the one thing I'm trying to avoid.
Yeah. Well, you've seen it firsthand, so you know.
I know what this does to people. I know what it does to your soul. I know what it does to your consciousness. I know the impact of violence. I know what it does to, and this goes a little bit spiritual, but I know what it does to your spirituality. Mm-hmm. Like, too much violence for an extended period of time can drastically change how you are as a human being.
Oh, definitely.
Like, And I'm not sure it's irreversible.
I'd be tempted to believe that, yeah.
And you get to this moment of time of extreme violence will change you. Now, there's a lot of people out there who are doing nothing but calling for violence. And I don't understand, and maybe there's some that don't qualify for this statement. With that being said, most people, I'm going to gander, that are out there screaming and crying and whining and wanting violence and violence and violence, most of those people have never directly experienced violence in their entire lives.
Yeah. And they may be calling for it, but they're not going to do it.
No, they expect anybody that runs out there and says, well, we should shoot all the rioters or we should shoot all the police. Don't listen to either one of them, because they're both full of it. They're both out of their minds, and neither one of them are going to directly, even remotely, attempt to do what they're telling you to do,
yeah,
or calling for you to do. Or anybody that wants to run around and say, oh, well, that protester got run over, I guess he deserved it. Or, well, that cop got shot, I guess he deserved it. Like, stop. Just stop right there. This is ridiculous. It's insane. We should be talking about how do we fix the problems that are directly affecting us, not how we're going to go end other human lives. We have a duty and a responsibility as human beings to at least care for the fact of another human life exists. You don't have to agree with them. You don't have to like them. You don't have to associate with them. But that does not justify or give you the right, unless your life is directly threatened or endangered, to go end that person's life. Period. End of story. Done. I don't know why. We don't know why, at this point, that multiple officers were shot in a suburb of Austin. We have no idea why. I can tell you two things. The left-wing media is going to blow it out of proportion that it's some crazy right-wing nut job, and the right-wing media is going to blow it out of proportion that it's some crazy left-wing socialist. And probably both of them are bullshit. This person may have untreated mental illness. We don't know this yet. But just like Tim McVeigh was wrong, just like the feds were wrong at Ruby Ridge, just like the feds were wrong in Waco, just because one side ends up being wrong does not justify the other side using the same tactics as the side they're trying to preach against. Because I heard this a long time ago, and I'm almost starting to believe it's true for most people, especially in the political realm. You either die young or you live long enough to look in the mirror and understand you have become what you started out fighting. That being said, nothing, and I'm going to make this very, very qualifyingly clear, nothing that is ever said on this show by me or by Lucas qualifies or justifies you walking out and saying, well, I heard it on this show, so I thought we were supposed to. No, that is the antithesis of what we are. Especially Lucas, because he's a freaking pacifist. Like, I'm not going to say I'm a pacifist, but...
Well, in almost every case that I can imagine, the one who initiates violence, in my opinion,
is wrong.
It's just wrong. You're just wrong, and you won't get my support.
Well, and there's going to be a bunch of... I can see the comments coming now. Well, what would you have done at Concord and Lexington? Just laid down your guns and let them take it? We're not talking about revolution right now. Because, frankly, 99% of people couldn't stomach it to begin with. The other 99% of people are too lazy to go do it. And 99% of people have no idea what it would actually take to fight a war.
Well, and in the end, I'm not sure that it would fix anything.
I'm not sure it would either.
So there's really no point in killing people.
I mean, the population of the 13 colonies when the Revolutionary War happened, or the War of Independence, or the War of Treason, if you're in Great Britain and you're listening to this, was somewhere around 3 million people.
Yeah, between 3 and 4.
The current population in the United States is 330 million.
Yeah.
Give or take. And there's a lot of give or take to that.
Mm.
So, before you grab your pitchforks and before Antifa and the Proud Boys go at it again in another street brawl where it's apparent that none of you know what you're doing, or most of you have no idea what hand-to-hand combat is, and the most fights you have ever been in is a drunken brawl at 3 a.m. when somebody touched a woman the wrong way and you got pissed off about it or said something funny. If that. Because let's get honest, I've seen a lot of bar fights, and most bar fights are nothing more than slapping contests that ends up with people rolling around in the dirt. There's no actual physical combat there. What are they doing? They're fighting. No, that's not a fight. That's I'm not gonna talk about what that is. Anyway. Most people aren't going to get off their couch to go do anything. So before the Proud Boys and Antifa go viral again on YouTube because they're running around having a bar brawl in the middle of Main Street, stop. For the love of God, stop. Because what you're actually doing is embarrassing. I don't care what your side. If you're on the Proud Boys side, or you're on the right wing side, or you're on Antifa side, and you're on the left wing side. If you look at these brawls, I say brawls. If you look at these cuddle competitions in the middle of Main Street, and you're like, yeah, that's my side. We're taking it to them, and you're proud of that. You're a disappointment to society. Sorry, not sorry. This is not violence. This is not a revolution. This is not the opening salvo of the shot heard around the world. It's a bunch of grown men running around looking like they're cuddling each other. And the only real violence you ever see out of some of that is maybe when somebody gets clocked in the head by a shovel.
Well, the other thing is, this should strike people as sad. Like, this should be sad to watch this happening. And the fact that people are cheering it on is just...
You're stupid. Losing your country because you want to see UFC on Main Street.
Yeah. It's sad that this is what we're doing.
And anybody that's like, well, let's just start the war, you will get your ass kicked. You will.
Yeah. I
was a cop. I went and trained on the regular. Like, I knew vastly superior to what I know now, how to manipulate weapons. Do you know what type 1 malfunction is? Do you know what a type 2 malfunction is? Do you know what a type 3 malfunction is? Do you have any idea what a proper retention holster is? Do you know what a sling is? Do you know how to do a tactical mag change? Do you know how to do any sort of under pressure magazine change? At all, period? And you want to go start a war and start shooting cops? Shut the fuck up. The other side of this, all you rednecks that want to go out there and take on, what is it? The militia. No. NAF. Not fucking around crew. NAFC.
Yes.
If Bubba, if you think, and I know you're all going to go pull this story, well, one of them shot the other one on accident during. Here's the other side of that statement. Have you seen them? Like, Bubba Gump Shrimp Factory is not going to go take on those guys. Sorry. Am I wrong?
No.
Stop looking for an excuse to be violent. Go join a kickboxing club. Go to BJJ. Like, go do Muay Thai. Go do Krav. Go. If you want violence and you like, well, I don't want to do it. I just want to see it. Well, then you're part of the problem.
You can pay for that.
You can pay for that.
This is America.
Like, we're in the middle of COVID and UFC still going on. So you can pay for that. With the same token, please, for the love of God, Stop thinking that if somebody disagrees with you, like I feel like I have to do this podcast every single week. If somebody disagrees with you, that does not mean I'm not talking to them anymore. The only way you grow intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually is by talking to people that you do not agree with.
Your reaction should be exactly the opposite. It should be, oh, they're different. I want to go talk to them.
I want to talk to them.
I want to know what they think.
Because, and there's a lot of people that think you and I agree on everything.
Oh, we don't agree.
No, not even close.
No.
Not even remotely close. Like, we might be on the same side of the ocean, but that's about it. I mean, there's some stuff we do agree on, but not like we're both voting for the same person for president.
Yeah.
And it's not Trump and it's not Biden.
So far,
like, what?
You never know.
What could she possibly do that make you not vote for her?
I mean, she would never do them, but I could think of a few things.
In case you're wondering, duck a little bit. That's who we're voting for. In case you were wondering.
You didn't think that she was enough?
No, because I could tell people, because we had the whole conversation about you're not really voting for president, you're voting for vice president.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm not voting for Harris.
Although if it was Pence versus Harris, I'm voting for Harris. And he's having an aneurysm.
I'm just not voting. That's what that is.
Stop picking sides. Stop trying to be violent. Stop trying to just have an excuse to be violent. Because guess what? All these officers that were shot in Austin today, they have families. They're people. Oh, if I hear one person, this one was single. He didn't have a family. Yes, he did. He had a father. He had a mother. At minimum, that's how he was created. Just at minimum, he had family. He had people that cared about him.
Well, and even this is the part that bothers me. Even when you were a cop, I mean, you had certain feelings about how the system should be run, how this should be done. The way things were going were not exactly the way you wanted them to go.
No, not even close.
It's possible that, and I don't know the shooter's motivations. I don't know any of that. It's possible that he and some of the cops shot actually agreed on some things.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's possible they were on the same side.
Well, and there's a lot of cops that I don't want to say bar talk, but generally it happened in bars of going. There's a lot of cops that are there's more cops in my experience that are like, this law's dumb, this law's dumb, this law's dumb. Yeah. I have no idea why we're enforcing this. This is a civil issue. This law's dumb. There's way more of those than there are. Well, we need to make another law about this. The only people that make more laws are Karen. I'm serious. Go look at lobbyist groups.
Yeah.
Go look at lobbyist groups on a state level and go look at lobbyist groups on a federal level. They're nothing but Karens and Dylans that want their way and they want their ideology and they want their religion and they want their philosophy and theology shoved down your throat so far that you've got to do what they want you to do. It's like we've said this before and I'll say it again. Both parties are the same. The only difference is one wants to control what you do in the bedroom and one wants to control what you do in public. There's not a whole lot of difference. Well, they both want to control what you do in public, but Republicans care way more about controlling individual lives than Democrats do. And I think it's hilarious because if you start talking to constitutional conservatives, 90% of the time they're Republicans.
Yeah.
Well, we think individual rights matter. The Republican Party has been the worst on individual rights in my lifetime. Since 1990, the Republican Party has done more against individual rights and individual liberties than the Democrats ever thought about doing. And I say that because there is one major reason, and I guarantee you somebody will pop back on me one day with this, but a Republican majority, I do believe it was a Republican majority at the time, passed, and a Republican president signed the worst legislation for personal rights and liberties in the history of our country. And it was called the Patriot Act. And the funny part is, well, they made that because of 9/11. No, they didn't. They first tried to pass it in 1998, and it was called something different. 9/11 happened, and they found a reason to pass it.
Yeah.
Like, you don't. I think it's ironic, though, that happened. Nobody was ready to fight in the streets.
No,
And then
quite the opposite.
And then the National Defense Authorization Act got worse and worse and worse and worse. Every year it gets worse. Nobody's out there fighting in the streets. And the next episode that will follow this one will be about a case that recently happened, and I'm going to piss a lot of people off by talking about it, about a 5-year-old boy that got murdered, and people comparing it to Breonna Taylor. Which it's not close to the same thing. But that's going to be the next episode after this one. But I didn't see people fighting in the streets then. They're taking your rights and your liberties away then. I didn't see, and the funny part is the Republicans, and I was a registered Republican, so get mad at me all you want, but the Republicans passed the Patriot Act. What was the Defense of Marriage Act?
DOMA.
DOMA. The Republicans passed DOMA.
Yeah. And then, yeah.
The state has no one. Not only did they pass it, they defended passing it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Republican voters thought the Defense of Marriage Act was the greatest thing on the face of the planet when it was passed. That's the reason that you have a national policy on marriage now. And Republicans hate that now.
Oh, yeah. Well, we just need to get the government out of marriage.
Where was that sentiment when you were talking about DOMA?
When was that sentiment? And let's just be clear on what DOMA was.
Yeah.
DOMA outlawed anybody but straight couples getting married.
Yeah.
At a federal level.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me? Now, granted, I somebody always takes this to the extreme, and this is the problem with politics nowadays. Somebody's going to come out and come after us like they have forever. Well, do you think that person should be able to marry their table? No, it's not what I'm talking about. Do I think if two women love each other and want to get married and their personal faith doesn't counteract that? Yeah, sure, why not? If people love each other, the irony is you've legalized something that has never been legalized ever. The United States is the first place to ever basically legalize marriage.
Yeah.
You know why? Because in the rest of the world, in a lot of places, if you go to the county courthouse or whatever their equivalent is of it, and you say, we're married, and this reverend, pastor, whatever, married us, and there's some form of marriage license, guess what? They're looking there, okay, we'll add it to the records. I don't see a problem with that. But no, in America, we had to make marriage a legal issue because guess what? You get tax breaks if you're married.
Yeah.
It all comes back to the same thing. What does it always come back to? Money. Right now, we're in the middle of the greatest experiment when it comes to public education in the history of this country.
Yeah.
Because we've been told since the 1970s, well, we have to have public education, and we've got to have this, and we've got to have the Department of Public Education. And nationally, it was made, I believe, in early 70s. Nixon was the one that made it, so yeah, it would have been the early 70s.
Well, in Oklahoma, it's in our Constitution.
No, I mean like on a federal level.
Well, yeah, at a federal level, but I mean,
we've gradually grown from like the late 1800s until the precipice of governance over public education, when the Department of Education was made, which does nothing. Everybody wants to carve about Betsy DeVos. They do nothing except get in the way, honestly. But
if they abolished the Federal Department of Education tomorrow,
you'd never notice.
You wouldn't notice. I would actually be really happy because they would stop wasting money.
But the problem is, it wouldn't give you that money back.
No, they'd find some other way to waste it.
defense spending. Hey, Lucas.
Oh my gosh.
What do you think of defense? Hey, hold on. We're gonna get this on tape.
Oh, here we go.
But I'm gonna finish my diatribe first.
Oh.
We're in the middle of a COVID pandemic, which whatever you believe on this pandemic, I respect whatever you believe it. I don't care. I have my own personal opinion. You can have your opinion. We can agree to disagree. However, with that being said, you know what it's proven? We don't need brick and mortar educational buildings anymore.
What?
We don't need brick and mortar.
What a revolutionary concept.
Isn't that insane? Could you imagine saying that 5 years ago?
What's really funny is about 10 years ago, all those teachers were telling kids, you can't make money as a YouTuber. Like, you can't do that for a job. And
the number one grossing job in the world is a YouTube influencer.
And that's basically what the teachers are doing now.
Literally, that's what they're doing. They're teaching people through Zoom and YouTube and any iteration thereof of video software.
They're basically underpaid YouTubers.
Oh, I never looked at it like that. That's awful. But guess what this also proves? All those property taxes that we're paying.
What about them, Greg?
You only need like 10% of them now.
What?
Can I get my problem? Sorry, I thought you were playing footsies with me underneath the table for a second.
No, it's...
And it's the dog.
It's the dog.
Yeah, the dog just fell asleep on my foot.
Not to say that I wouldn't play footsie with you.
Oh, no. Well, two men love each other. You opened it up. Sorry. For the record, we're both straight, and I'm happily married with 2 children that I know of.
So,
what's your opinion on defense spending?
Well,
come on.
When are people going to realize that their property taxes were just ripping them off for decades?
I realize that.
When is everybody going to realize that?
Most people. This is the problem, though, and I've realized why people don't realize this. You know, how much of America has a mortgage? Do you know?
I did about 2 months ago, but I don't know.
It's estimated at about 91%.
Yeah, I was going to say about 90%.
Which means less than 10%, right at or less than 10% of Americans actually get a property tax bill.
Yeah.
Because it's all built into your mortgage.
Yeah.
You pay your mortgage company puts it in escrow.
Yeah.
Because I've asked friends of mine who have mortgages, hey, when do you pay your property? Do you know what your property taxes are due? And most of them said the same thing I did before I had to learn otherwise. April 15th.
Yeah.
Do you know when property taxes are due? In Oklahoma?
In Oklahoma, no, I don't.
In December.
That makes sense.
It's basically Christmas. It's basically Christmas. Your property taxes are due. What?
The only house Santa actually goes to is the government house.
Mm-hmm.
I
This is what I mean. I'm going, most people have no idea.
Well, and a lot of people, when they pay off their mortgage, don't realize that they have to pay their property taxes.
Yeah.
And they don't.
And 3 years later.
Yeah. They get a notice eventually.
Yeah.
But
it's 3 years in Oklahoma.
If you don't pay your property taxes in Oklahoma, your name is in the paper. In case you didn't know.
And they come and try and take your house.
Yeah, but they can't do that because you own it, right?
You don't own anything. You own nothing.
Really?
You own absolutely nothing in the entire world. Actual real property, you own nothing. And the faster you understand that, the faster you understand how government got massively too big. Especially in the United States. Just ask Lucas about defense spending.
Okay, you keep bringing it up. What do you want to know about defense?
I know what... You're more libertarian on this than I am.
What are you asking specifically? Because, I
go.
Where do you want me to start?
At a national level.
That doesn't help at all.
Do you think that we spend adequate amount of money, too much money, or not enough? Why?
At a national level, regardless of what we're talking about, If we're talking about spending, it's always too much.
Why?
What's the number? We spend more than the next. Is it 9?
I've heard anywhere from 9 to 27. I don't know what the actual number is.
When I was in college, I knew it was.
Joe said 9, I think.
Yeah, she said 9. When I was in college, I knew the number was 13. Like the next 13 countries combined, we spend more than them.
And something like 11 of them are allies.
Yeah.
Joe said no. When Joe Jorgensen was in Oklahoma City the other day, she made the statement that we spend more than the next 9 countries combined. She did not qualify which were allies and which weren't.
Yeah. But having spent time in politics, you know as well as I do, you can cook numbers any way you want to, so you're going to get a different number.
Yeah, you're going to get a different number every
I think we
time.
spend too much. I think we...
Do you believe in a standing national army?
I don't think so.
Because I do.
Depending on how you phrase it, no, I don't.
Because I think the intent behind the Constitution of having local militias was a good idea, but I don't think in 21st century world it would work. And here we go.
So you don't think it'll work? Why?
I don't think it can work and be a superpower.
There it is. Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Well, and it's like my whole theory of splitting into 3 different countries.
You have to be number 1.
We're still one. No, that's not it. We're still 1, 2, and 3 in GDP.
Yeah.
In global GDP. If you split the United States into 3 countries that I think it should split into, we would still be 1, 2, and 3 in global GDP.
Right.
I don't think you maintain something like that without a trained and ready force to defend it.
Okay, trained and ready is different than a standing army.
Yeah, it's not nowadays.
I think it is.
I think you might be able to do it in one of those countries. Also, that's the biggest debate is we're also talking about population difference. I think it goes back to the Lexington Concord thing. 3 million people.
Yeah.
You could probably do it with. You're not going to do it with 330 million people.
It depends on what your goals are. That's the big question. Is what
Maintaining
do you want to do?
it.
Maintaining what?
1, 2, and 3.
Well, it depends on your policy. I mean, it depends on your economic policy as well as your military policy.
Yeah, that's true.
Because those two are inseparable in America today.
What?
Military and economic policy.
I agree with that.
We basically are only where we are because we can threaten people with our military.
Yeah, I can see that.
That and the IMF, which is a huge topic. I don't want to.
Oh, you don't want to talk about the IMF?
Not right now. I mean, we're already 30 minutes in. How long
you want to see him rant for hours? Asking about the IMF or the Fed. And he's not even an econ guy.
I wouldn't say hours. I can sum it up pretty quickly. But
F the IMF.
There's the long version and the short version. That's the long version.
But in all seriousness, though, but I'm the econ guy too.
Yeah.
It's GDP matters. You're not going to revert to a non-globalized world economically unless nuclear winter, Yellowstone blows. I don't know. Afghanistan still gets iPhones.
Worldwide currency collapse.
It'll still be a global economy. It'll just have a different currency.
Okay.
If the dollar collapsed like Zero Hedge keeps saying it's going to.
Oh, Zero Hedge is convinced that we're done. We're done.
I know. Zero Hedge has been convinced we're done since 2009.
Are they wrong? I don't know. Could be.
Maybe.
Could be right.
I mean, currency-wise, I could see it. But all you're going to do is alternate to something like Bitcoin.
I don't see that. I don't see that working.
I do.
Not yet.
It's close. Because if you want to say right now that we're done, the dollar's done as a world reserve currency, and we're in the middle of a currency collapse, it's going to take 5 years.
Yeah, probably.
The technology for Bitcoin,
Yeah.
when it came out, what, 2010, I don't know, 2012? I was going to OU when it came out.
Yeah, it would have been in 2011.
Yeah, it was like it's somewhere in that time frame. When that happened, the tech wasn't there, and the tech has gotten there now.
Yeah.
To make it viable, the only question becomes, how do you have mass validity?
Yeah.
To replace the dollar, because a lot of economists and a lot of currency people a lot of forex people have always assumed that if the dollar collapsed, it would get replaced by the yen or the euro. And I don't think it would get collapsed.
Yeah.
I don't think it gets replaced by either.
I don't think
because the euro is just as weak as the dollar is.
Definitely not yen. I mean, that doesn't make sense in my mind. I mean, I don't see the euro either. But
I don't see any current currency being viable more than the dollar.
I don't think they would. Well, I'm trying to think how to phrase this correctly.
I don't know how to phrase your own stuff.
I don't think the
IMF.
Yeah, the IMF. Basically.
The International Monetary Fund.
I don't think the IMF, the Fed, the World Bank, which are basically all the same.
Yeah, it's like they're all the same.
I don't think they will allow something like Bitcoin to become the currency without actually being able to regulate it.
I don't think they're going to have a choice.
They will find a way to regulate
it. It's going to have to be barter or Bitcoin. I just think they'll end up trying to surcharge it to get their own.
It will probably end up being Bitcoin. I will.
Because you've got to have a currency.
But they will find a way to regulate it. I mean, regulate it.
I think it would be 100 years before you ever have the amount of control over Bitcoin by the IMF. It would be 100 years before the IMF, the World Bank, and the Fed. Okay, the IMF and the World Bank, because the Fed goes away if you have a currency collapse. But it'd be 100 years before the IMF and World Bank have the kind of control over Bitcoin that they currently do over all currency.
No, I give it about 10 years.
I don't think they can do it that fast. There's too many people.
I give it about 10 years.
Because when was the Fed made? 1919? Somewhere in there? I'm just saying, it's been about 100 years.
Yeah, it's been, yeah.
But the difference is there's a bunch of old white men running the IMF and running World Bank.
1913. I thought it was 1913, but I wasn't sure. It's 1913.
That's one of those. There's a bunch of old white men running that. They know how to manipulate currency.
Yeah.
They don't understand. Like, there's very few people that I believe, less than 10% in the IMF circles. By the way, the IMF and the World Bank want this violence to happen because it's going to help increase their positioning and their standing in the financial markets. But there's very few people, less than 10%, that understand how Bitcoin works.
Yeah.
The lack of knowledge is what is going to keep them up. It's capitalism.
You may have a point to some degree, because it did take them about 70 years to figure out currency. The Federal Reserve.
Yeah, honestly, it was about 70 years for them to figure it out.
I don't know. It might take them 20.
Because buying power started crashing in the mid 70s and early 80s.
It might take them 20 years.
I think they're going to have to pay a lot of intelligent people to understand cryptocurrency to try and regulate.
But if they're smart, they'll do it.
How are they going to pay them? There's your catch.
Well, they will find a way.
I'm just saying, you're talking about paying people with crypto when you don't know how to use crypto.
They'll find a way, I'm sure.
It's a different world. It's becoming a different world. Wait, you never ended up telling everybody what you thought about the defense spending budget.
Too much.
And
what more do you want to know? I mean, I could talk about defense spending for a while. What do you want to know?
You've got 13 minutes. Go.
What do you want to know? Like my ideal system or what?
Yes. Because I spend the entire time talking and ranting, and everybody's like, they never hear anything of, substance out of you.
That's intentional.
I know it is.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
It's your show too.
No. Okay, so number one, I would pull a lot of our forces back. I mean, we don't need to be everywhere all the time, everywhere.
But we're an empire.
I don't want an empire.
How are you expected to control something
like the world?
Like the world without forces everywhere. The only thing we're missing is Death Star at this point.
I have actually heard that some people think the Death Star was actually like a metaphor for the Pentagon.
I'm not going to tell you. There's a subreddit. Just go.
There's a subreddit?
There's a subreddit. Just
I need to spend more time on Reddit.
Yeah, you do. There's a whole subreddit about the basically euphemisms that are in Star Wars.
I think I actually know some of the stuff that I would find there because some of it is not very well concealed.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
But there's, down to what lightsaber stood for.
Huh.
And the color, and there's a whole subreddit. Yeah.
I had not thought that deep into
it. There was a reason. You totally got me sidetracked on a Star Wars tangent.
I want to know more.
There's a whole subreddit about why the Gray Jedi ends up with a yellow lightsaber, based off reality. Continue about defense spending.
You can't do that.
Yes, I can. It's a political show, not a Star Wars show. Defense spending.
I'm gonna make you mad.
No, you're not.
Okay, so pull all the forces back. Maybe retire most of the military, put them in reserve, keep training people for the reserves. Maybe even bring it down to a state militia level or lower. Because I don't need an empire. I just need to be, not attacked, pillaged, whatever by other people. That's pretty much it.
You still have 9 minutes.
I want to hear about Star Wars. That's why I'm here.
That is not why you actually have a Star Wars shirt.
I am wearing a Star Wars shirt. Do I need to stand up to put that on camera?
No, I don't care.
You don't? Is that a yes or a no?
I don't know. I get freedom. It's a thing. No, there's just a whole subreddit about Star Wars and the likeness and.
What are lightsabers?
It wasn't so much what are lightsabers, it's what the colors stood for in lightsabers.
Okay, what do the colors stand for?
I don't remember all of it. It's literally I just remember the yellow one because I thought it was ironic.
What does the yellow one stand for?
The same thing yellow stands for today.
Freedom.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But there's a whole argument about how George Lucas was actually a libertarian.
I could maybe see that.
Yeah, that was the whole. Granted, none of this is proven. None of this is anything more than theory. But there was a whole subreddit about how Lucas was actually a libertarian, and I don't remember exactly how it went, but you had to have parts of both.
Well, he's Buddhist.
Yeah,
he was actually like a Buddhist.
There's no. The force is actually based off of a Buddhist concept.
And Buddhists are big into balance. Actually, if you really want to be honest, almost every ancient culture was concerned with balance. It's not just a Buddhist thing. Ancient Greeks were very much into balance.
Yes.
Pretty much every culture was. And to some degree, I would argue even
Christianity
Judaism, Christianity, I think they are too. Most Christians today don't understand that because they don't understand anything about
most Christians today don't understand where their religion actually came from. They just go to church.
Well, yeah. No, that's accurate. I'm not disagreeing. We just really don't put any time into understanding ancient philosophy.
No, we don't. And There's a couple pastors that I like, am extremely fond of because, I mean, we don't agree on everything. I don't think there's a Judeo-Christian pastor in the entire country that I agree with everything on. But the church, when I go to church, the church I go to, part of the reason I love that pastor so much is because he puts a lot of emphasis into the history of it versus, and a lot of people don't like him, but it is what it is.
Well, I think the history is important because if you're not taking time to understand the context, you're going to get the wrong interpretation. 90% of the time. You might get lucky, but not very often.
There's a whole... Maybe we'll do one on religion one day. Because I have a theory I'm working on with religion right now.
Really?
Yes, I told you right before we went on air.
Okay.
I thought your eyes were going to roll in the back of your head.
Okay. Just wasn't sure if we're going to talk about that.
No, we're not talking about that.
Okay, never mind.
We are wholeheartedly not talking about religion yet.
I mean, we've done...
we've done religion and politics, but there's a difference between talking about religion and talking about Dylan and Karen trying to control your bedroom.
Yeah. Very superficial. I don't want to say superficial. That makes it sound bad.
Very surface level. Yeah. Because a lot of people that want religion and politics also don't understand their own religion, which I think is hilarious. At best, hilarious. At worst, ridiculous. No, but go read the subreddits on Star Wars euphemisms.
You have no idea how much time I'm going to waste on this.
Oh, if it's still up there, the one that was up there a couple months ago, it's one of the last days I was a cop. I legitimately spent most of my 13-hour shift reading through it. It was that good.
I mean, considering how much time I have invested in sci-fi right now, 13 hours is not that much.
I mean, it's good. It's just one of those. You're never going to prove it one way or the other.
Whether it was intentional?
Yeah. Unless you get Lucas on record.
I mean, it's no secret that at least the prequels were very politically oriented.
Well, and here's the thing, too. That people need to understand about Star Wars, and that's the last thing we'll say about Star Wars. We'll start another podcast. It's all about Star Wars.
I'm interested.
Because we have time to do this one.
We just do 5 minutes a day. Just 5 minutes after this one. We'll be fine.
Yeah. Because then we're gonna do like an hour and a half on this one. And then we're gonna be like, all right, time to do the Star Wars episode. And then it's gonna be like 6 hours later.
Yeah, actually. Might end up doing that.
And then it's gonna be 3 a.m. and we're both gonna have to be up in like an hour and a half to get ready to go to work.
And neither one of us are on drugs, so we can't do that.
Yeah. Yet.
I mean, I'm on caffeine.
I'm on caffeine and nicotine. That's okay. Have you tried DMT?
Man, my wife is pregnant. We were talking about getting a new car because we got to have more room, and we were thinking about maybe getting a minivan.
Oh, that's nice. Have you tried DMT? There's a huge inside joke running between the two of us. Oh, thank you, Joe Rogan. Thank you, Joe Rogan.
I love memes.
But that's so us too. Like, I wonder what happens to your brain when you do this. Anyway, the whole thing with Star Wars was there are no good guys.
Yes, that was Lucas's point. I think that's been really, really poorly handled.
Yeah, there are no good guys and there are no bad guys.
If you actually like watch the prequels and think, what's the difference between the Republic and the CIS? It's kind of hard to tell who's the bad guy.
No, and that's the entire point.
Yeah, and eventually the Republic becomes the Empire, and they are the bad guys.
Bad guy.
But in the end, after all that struggle, it's really not any better.
And that's the thing that most people never understand about Star Wars. Of going, well, Darth Maul's the bad guy, Darth Vader's the bad guy, Kylo's the bad guy, Palpatine's the bad guy,
and they are.
But they're not.
No, I think they are. It's just the good guys. I mean, if you push it too far the other direction, you get the Jedi and the Republic, and that's not really much better.
No,
So,
it was a theocracy.
yeah, balance, I guess, is what the point is.
There are more similarities to the Republic and the Jedi to Iran than there are to America.
I'll put it this way: Darth Vader, Palpatine, Darth Maul, whatever, all those guys, they're bad, but the Jedi are bad too.
See, I never thought Vader was. No.
Violence bad, Greg.
But the Jedi are violent too.
Yeah, they are, and they're bad.
I'm just saying, I never thought Vader was the evil guy everybody thought he was.
He was at least a three-dimensional bad guy. I'll give you that.
Yeah. I mean, the worst thing Anakin or Vader ever did was.
How long do you want to talk about Star Wars today?
Order 6. I'm just saying. We could talk about, dude. We might start another podcast about Star Wars.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I've thought about it.
People on YouTube are asking about my shirt. Do you get the shirt? Do you understand the reference? Like, do you understand both references?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to show everybody.
Oh God, here we go.
I don't know if they can even see that.
I mean, I can see it.
Can you see it?
Just do this.
What?
There. Yeah.
You don't get the reference?
No.
Okay. Well, that's disappointing. It's an art reference, Greg.
And
I think I want to say this is French. I'm not sure.
That's French.
Is it French?
Yeah.
For those of you who don't get it,
Okay, I'm like waiting, sweetheart.
just Google "This is not a pipe." Do you get it now? Okay.
Go Google. This is not a pipe. Please.
Because there is probably a Wikipedia article on that piece.
Yes, there is.
And it will explain everything. If you understand Star Wars, because you have to have both, or you won't get it.
Oh.
Aren't you so proud of my
Culturedness.
philosophical statement?
This is not a pipe.
My shirt says that's not a moon. I feel so bad having to explain this.
I'm not explaining it.
This is not a pipe. It's a picture of a pipe. It's a commentary on reality.
It's a commentary on reality.
Reality and perception. My shirt says that's not a moon. Because that's no moon.
No.
It's a space station.
It's a space station. I mean, we could.
I don't even know it. I don't even know if that was enough explanation.
No, it's like, but it'd take an hour and a half to explain everything.
Yeah, it would.
That's what we should do. Just do one like 3-hour episode. Like, make a Star Wars podcast, and then one Star Wars episode we do. We do one a week, and it's like.
Yeah, I could do one a week. We can do that.
By the way, the new schedule for qualified immunity is going to be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Okay.
You might get bonus episodes on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
So we're reducing time.
We're not reducing it. It's just more structured.
It's my fault.
It is his fault.
It is my fault.
I mean, it actually is his fault.
It's completely my
go
fault.
back to school because they don't care about their health and safety. If they did, they would let them go remotely.
I think we'll be remote before the semester is over. That is my prediction. Do you have a prediction?
No.
Because when we both predict stuff,
I know. That's why I'm not having a prediction.
Well, you should predict that we go all remote.
I don't. I'm not sure you make it through the first 8 weeks
I don't think we do either.
without. Okay, everybody go back home.
Personally, I give it about a month, maybe a month and a half.
Because undergrad's not going back, are they?
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure undergrad's not going back.
I don't know what those plebs in undergrad do.
Bourgeoisie. Like, let me guess. Let them eat cake.
I shouldn't say that because they're actually, in some circumstances, they pay more than actual law students do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't finish. I can afford law school. I couldn't afford the trip to get there.
We should talk about that sometime because I have some capitalist arguments that come out of that.
Oh, good. You're talking about the cost of school.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're not going down the rabbit hole of you trying to get me to go to law school.
Yeah, that we can fill at least a whole hour on that one too, probably.
On the reasons I should go to law school?
No, like how law school admissions is, how it works.
I'm just saying.
I'm trying not to get into trouble.
Wait a year. Wait a year for that episode.
Yeah. Wait a year for that episode. Yeah, wait a year.
I think I'd love to go to law school. I'm just not going to go finish undergrad to go to law school.
If I could go back about 3 years, I don't know if I would recommend law school or not to past me.
Why?
I don't know. I'm not convinced it was a good idea.
I'm also more idealistic than you in some ways when it comes to law.
Yeah, probably.
Like, because if I went to law school, the only kind of attorney I could be is a criminal defense attorney.
Yeah. See, there's like the ideal thing, and then there's like what's like the best you can do, and I'm willing
The
to go
application
somewhere.
of it.
What?
The application of it.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's the ideal that you should strive for, and then there's what you're actually going to get. I'm okay with what I get.
See, I've always said this. I want to have an argument in front of the Supreme Court on
I have
presidential debates.
I have no interest in that.
I would love to argue in front of the Supreme Court.
I mean,
there's one case you would argue in front of the Supreme Court. That's it.
What?
Roe v. Wade.
No, I don't think I would argue that. Not at the national level, no.
I can't get into this right now.
I mean, we're almost at an hour.
I know. I'm just saying, under the current system, you have to argue at a national level.
Under the current system?
Under the current system.
You're probably right.
You have to argue it at a national level. Because the entire reason...
But we're not on my planet, are we?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, unless you find a portal to another dimension where America didn't get federalized out the ass.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
I'm just saying, like, where else are you going to go?
Well, if Oklahoma would withdraw from the Union.
I knew you're avoiding saying the word.
What word?
I'm not saying it. I'm on enough watch lists at this point. I don't need to be added anymore.
Watch this. There's no such thing as enough.
I don't need the Stasi coming after me.
I wonder how many I get added to, like, weekly.
I don't know.
Considering what I talk about in text messages.
Oh. Did you get your social media back yet?
I don't think so. I'm starting to think I'm not coming back.
Out of choice or out of
both. I miss the memes. I don't miss the time sucking that it takes. Like, it just sucks so much time out of my day.
Tell me about it. Have you seen Hootsuite? Yes,
actually. That was like looking into another dimension.
I think you text me back something like, "What is that?" Oh, so you're still only on the tweets?
I am on the Twitter.
On the Twitter. Tell everybody your Twitter handle.
At the Lucas Cohen. I haven't been on that in a while. Man, I almost forgot what it was.
I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, LinkedIn. Why do you roll your eyes?
You practically are the interwebs.
I can feel the socials through my veins. They're fuel to my fire.
This is getting really weird. I don't like this. If you get on your interwebs, you can find Greg just about anywhere.
Yeah, if you go just about anywhere, you can find me.
But go ahead and run through the list in case they...
Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and I think I'm missing one. I know there's 11, and I'm only at 8. And
I don't know what they are.
I think I'm on Parler now too. Yeah, I'm on Parler. Although that's just a Trump.
Yeah, I was on that for a little while, and it was just a huge Trump worship fest, and I'm like, I'm just...
Boy, that's a nice way to put it. It's Trump circle jerk.
It's disgusting.
I'm on Gab.com too, but I never get on there.
What's that?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll stop asking that question.
Yeah. And when it comes to social media, just stick to your Twitter because God knows you don't like pictures, so you're not getting on Instagram.
I like memes and memes on Instagram. Memes on Insta were pretty good.
And you got banned from both of them. So,
Yeah.
Oh, like the podcast. It's on just about every platform. It's on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Anchor, etc., etc., etc. With that being said, I'm going to end this the same way I always end this. Live today, love tomorrow, and unite forever. Triple holla, guys.